Welcome to Let's Solve a Real Task Using Tricks Learned on this channel. Hey, I'm Eric, and the other day I came across a URL from the European Central Bank, which contained a zip file with exchange rates. And I thought, hey, let's do a video on how we can actually use this very useful file inside Business Central. And then I thought, how about I try to only use tricks, hacks, whatever you call it, that has been featured on this channel before. Meaning that whatever we do, I should not do anything new. I should use stuff that there's already a video on specifically. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm probably going to write a lot of code to accomplish it, but let's see. So you might want to hydrate and so on, because this is probably not the shortest video. You can see it on how long the video actually is. I don't know yet, but I imagine it will take a couple of minutes at least. Anyway, let me switch over here, and I got the URL here, and I'll put it in the link, the description below. But basically, it's the European Central Bank, or euro.eu/stats/euro fxref-/euro fxref-hist.zip file. So when you download that, you get a zip file, and inside the zip file we have a comma separated file with, let's get a bit of word wrap here, so we can see it's kind of a homemade format. Let's use that word. So in the top we clearly have some kind of a header, but it's not really a real header, because this is also data, because this is the different currency symbols, and then we got a date down here. And the weird thing, actually, I just noticed now that there's a comma at the end. So there's kind of a blank column at the end, but and we can see that some of the exchange rates here has end as a not available. So we have to work with that. But let's see. So the task is, let's get this information into the exchange rate module of Business Central. So here goes. Let's see. I think I have Visual Studio Code here. So before I start the video, I told I wanted to extend the currency page. So let's get right into it. We want to add a action. So add. What are we going to do? Add first in processing. That's probably a good place to go. We'll create an action. Import caption, import from your ECB. Place an area all. And then let's create an action. So the very first thing we got to do is download the file. So for that, we need to get an HTTP client. And I think I'm not going to say hundreds, because that's probably, but there's at least tens and tens of videos where I'm using the HTTP client. In this case, we have a URL. Let me see if I can locate the URL. Maybe I still have it in here. That's the URL we need. But we just need to download it. So this is like web service for lazy people, right? Instead of talking REST and all this stuff, just download a zip file with the data in it. So we can do that by http://client.get. And this is the URL, and then we need to have a response, right? So response is one of those. We will add it here. So I could go crazy with error testing, and if not, and then I'm just gonna let everything fail if it fails. So we assume it works in this video. So we're not gonna use the ideas from all the how to do arrows correctly. This is the video where we ignore that. So we get this, then we need to get, because in the response we can say we can do a bit of error testing here. Right, is successful, then sure. Then we need to get the file. So the best way to get the file is actually to use a stream. And there are many videos on the channel about streams. There's one particular that says, I can't even remember the name of it, but there's a video going into details about streams. In this case, we get the download, and behind the scene, outside of AL, whatever has been downloaded is sitting inside the response structure. And what we can do is that we can tell the response to response content dot read as, so read it as an in stream. So what this one is actually doing, it's not reading it, because right now there's no place to read it to. So right now the only thing we're telling that we're taking this in stream and we're connecting it into that thing that is already downloaded sitting in memory, so we can at some point pump it somewhere else. But we know that what we're downloading is a zip file. So let's create another variable called zip, and we'll find the code unit called something with compression, data compression. There we go. And I think we can say open zip archive here, and let's see what parameters we have. We have an input stream, so that's what we need. Open for update. Nope, we're not going to update it. So what's happening now is that here we're connecting. So streams are like pipes between stuff. So right now we connected a pipe to the data that has been downloaded, and now it's giving the other end of the pipe to the zip function, and the zip function will then pump all the data in, and now we have it as a zip file in memory. But we don't know what's in the zip file. But what we can do is that we can ask it, and I think it's called get entry list. And get entry list takes so we need to create another variable here called file list, and that has to be a list of text. So file list. And maybe this is a good time to let's do a sanity check. Message found, and then we're gonna do file list dot get the one based index of the element to get. So let's assume there's at least one file. So let's get the name of the first file. I think that's good. Let's see if this works. I was just about to just keep programming, and then at the end see if everything works. But maybe it's better that we. Why is this so small? Hang on. Yeah, there you go. This action import from ECB. Found euro fx ref -hist.csv. So we are in business. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to get that file, and we get it out of zip, and then there's an extract entry, and the first parameter is the entry name, but we already know that because that's file list.get and 1. And the next parameter, and by the way, there is also a video on working with zip files there. So the next parameter is an outstream. So an outstream is a stream that we can put some data into. So in this case, the zip library has the approach of saying that I'm going to move the data. So you give me something I can read from, I'll read from it. If you want data from me, you give me something I can write to, and I will write to it. And you write to an outstream. So let's create an outstream also. So we pass the second parameter is our outstream, and then we're actually not passing it. You see the length of the extracted entry. So this one is just a let's give it a good name, length of CSV. How about that? That's the longest variable name you have almost ever seen me create. Length of CSV. So because this is a var parameter, it will actually tell us how long the file is, which is convenient in some cases. But wait, as I said, outstream is when, so it will write to it, but right now this is just a stream sitting nowhere, so it's not connected to anything. So we need to write to something. So let's create our good old friend a temp blob. That's probably a code unit, temp blob. So before we do this, we go temp blob, create our outstream. So in this case, the temp blob has a memory, magic memory inside, and now we ask the temp blob to give us a stream that can be written to, so a way to put data into the temp blob. And in this case, extract entry will then put the data into the temp blob. So at this point, we have a temp blob with the data in. And the data is CSV. So I think we got another video on the channel about the table called CSV buffer. And the CSV buffer is a way to work with CSV files. Very, very flexible and perhaps not the most performant one, because each field is a record, but I think it's fast enough. You make it temporary so you don't screw up. I can't really actually remember if Microsoft now has. No, because of course this should always be temporary. But the table type temporary came way later than this table, so has not been marked temporary for Microsoft yet. But you should always make it temporary. So what do we do here? Let's CSV dot load data. So there's a load data which takes a file name that doesn't work in the cloud, so we will never use that, but load data from stream. And this one takes an in stream, so we can let's not reuse. So we can do a CSV stream here, and that's an in stream, and we get that out of the temp blob. So the data that we just read into this temp blob, we can now ask the CSV buffer to read out again. And the CSV field separator, I'm pretty sure that it was a comma, and the last parameter is a CSV character to trim, and I actually don't think we need that, so it doesn't overload. So now we have all our data in CSV format. So let's do a sanity check again. Let's ignore this sanity check we have up here. Let's see how far we have gone in 15 minutes. Wow, I'm behind here. Message, no, we need to do CSV get 1,1, and then we can do message %1, %2. Let's do CSV dot get number of columns, CSV dot get number of lines, and then the CSV value. So that will require 3 of these guys. There you go. Let's see how it goes. I need to click it, otherwise it won't work. Click. So 43 columns, 6,330 lines. So that's a lot of records that we just read into the buffer. This one says blank though. That kind of surprises me. 1 and 1. I thought that would be date, if I'm honest. Interesting. Let's just do another sanity check here. How about 1 and 2? That should be row and column, as far as I understand. Line number, field number. Let's try 1 and 2. CSV.value 1 through 3, 1 through 3. Interesting. We hit this again. Still blank. I think it's time to fire up the old debugger and see what is going on. And now I think I know what it is. So okay, keep yelling at. Did you yell at the screen when I said load? No, create in stream. Didn't I create a CSV stream here? A note from CSV stream. Extract. Outstream, mainstream. Okay, I want to do it with the right variable. Actually, that should not have broken anything, but let's see why that broke. And I'm counting seconds in my head because that's the musician in me. But now I'm talking and then I can't count while I talk anyway. So, oh, we got a breakpoint. We got a breakpoint. There we go. We got a breakpoint. So the CSV says value US. Okay. I'm actually not quite sure why the message is not showing that, but it clearly said value US. So %1, %2, %2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that because we clearly had a value. So that's good enough for me. So what I was thinking we could do is that we could actually process this CSV by column instead of by lines. Because since we have get a specific cell, this is kind of like working with an Excel sheet. We just want to process by column instead of by row. So my idea was that we could do something like, let's create a variable called column and another variable called line. And then we'll do for column equal, and the first column was the date. We're going to ignore them. For column equal to CSV get number of columns. Do again. There you go. So now we have to mean that if I do CSV.get line 1 comma column, I should have the currency code we're working on. So let's create a variable called currency code, Is that currency? Let's actually, we're probably gonna get a currency record in a second, so I'm just gonna create it. Is that one of the ones that has a 10 character? Well, I guess there's no currency codes that are over 10 characters anyway. And eventually exchange record, so currency exchange rate. Those are, I think that's what we need. So we can go here and then we can say cur code equals csv dot value. There we go. And I guess if so, actually there's a video not long ago about records that doesn't exist. So now we need to figure out if we know this currency code or not. So we use the trick from that video to see if correct.get cur code. No, the pattern was if we did not have that, then let's it's what we call code correct description. There you go. Cur code also, and then correct dot insert true. So at this point, we either have the one we just created or we have the one we found. So we have a currency record no matter what. But hang on. Didn't we talk about? Yeah, there's this nasty blank one at the end. So we should probably actually go and say if cur code has a value. Then we're gonna do all this stuff because you never know otherwise. Okay, so here we can then go for line equal, and now we'll start at line 2. So the first number we need to read is this, and then we want to read this and this and this and this. So for line equal to csv dot get number of lines. Do it again. And I guess we just need to create an exchange rate now. So exchange rate record exit. Rec dot currency code equal correct dot code exchange rec dot what's called starting date. Yeah. Okay, so now we need to get, hang on, the date is in column 1 of the row, so we can do a csv.get and this was line number, so we know what line we're in, comma 1. That will get us this one, and then we need to evaluate with csv.value. And another trick, the number 9 is a magic number. There's a video on that. There's also a video on validate, but there's see, this date format is like, you know, XML format or international ISO something format, meaning that if we add a comma here, comma 9, then evaluate will simply assume that this is XML format and does not care whether your machine is running whatever date formatting it has. That is pretty nice. And then I guess we need to actually get the one. So we need to line, comma column. So get the number the one we need. But I was just thinking about, so now we need to say that if evaluate dot and actually so okay, so There's actually a video on this on to how to actually calculate your currency rate. I'm not gonna go into them, but what I'm gonna do is say evaluate. Exchange rate. Wow. Rate.validate. And then I'm gonna take the exchange rate amount and says 1. And here I'm going to do the exchange. It's called the relational exchange rate amount. And then I'm going to take CSV value and 9. So if this has NA in it, then evaluate will fail. If not, then we can simply go and say exchange rate.validate relational, this field that we just put a value in. So this is kind of a you could do validate comma value, but since we need to figure out, get it out of the string, we put it into the record without validating it, and then we're just validating the value. The same way that if you're working with record refs actually. So I think this is well, I think there's also some zeros in here somewhere. Or maybe the blank will end up as a 0. So I think what we want to do is saying that if exchange rate dot relational exchange rate actually has a value, then we go do stuff. And I think am I wrong if the only thing we're missing is to put this in the system? How was that? 72 lines of code. I guess this is, let me look at this. So we know we're good. We get a zip file, we get the thing inside the zip file, we get data into the CSV buffer. We loop through every column starting from number 2 to the number of columns. We get the currency code. We only work on currency codes that has a value. That would actually, I think that would exclude this from being 0 because we're never gonna index it. But I wonder if there could be a 0 somewhere. No, maybe not. Actually, let's remove the 0 check because I'm not sure if that was actually needed. That was just a okay. So we go through this. If we don't have a currency record, totally gonna create it. Then we're going to run to all the lines, and we start by getting the date. So we get that into starting date, and then we get the exchange rate, put that into the whole thing, and then we insert it. I'll press the hold my beer button, also known as F5, and then we'll see if we're lucky. 28 minutes, we might just make it within, now I set it, so now it's totally not going to work within half an hour. Import. I'm looking at the, looking at the icon down here to see if I get the debugger yelling at me or not. So far, so good. Now we're going to insert a fair amount of records in the system. So this, well, we're still inserting, so I think that's good. 6,000 times, I don't know how many columns we had. Fair amount. That's a fair amount of records. While that is doing its thing, is there anything that I haven't talked about what the video was about? Damn, something broke. Or did I set a breakpoint here by incident? I just had a breakpoint. Haha! It worked in less than half. Okay, so let's look at this. So all these exchange rates are from the perspective of how much do you get of that currency with €1. So we got data all the way from 99 till today. Nah, till Friday, I guess. That's awesome. Haha, excellent. So in 70 lines of, well, there's one comment, even 2 comments. There you go. Under 70 lines. We downloaded a file from the European Central Bank. It was a zip file. We unzipped it, grabbed the CSV file inside that, put that into the CSV buffer. Then we did some by column processing of the CSV file into the exchange rate module, currency module in Business Central. I think that's pretty cool. All using tricks that has been shown on this channel. I think that was the thing I started with, which I think is pretty cool. If you're not done with AL tricks now, this where did my finger go? This video is for you. It's filled with more AL hacking. Perhaps even one of the videos that I featured the tricks from here. So go check that one out. I'll see you there. Take care. Bye.